18-year-old Deshaun Marquise Jones, also known as Dusky, was standing outside with members of his gang who had just gone live on Facebook. Deshaun was a Hula gang member who had previously been listed as a high-risk target for being killed. Whether he refused to change his behavior, or simply felt trapped in the street life, Jones paid the ultimate price for being involved in the gang lifestyle. Having remained heavily active on social media, brandishing pistols and posting pictures of himself with stacks of money and illegal drugs, his life was soon to come to a dramatic end. He would post a Facebook status an hour before someone started shooting. Upon arriving at the shooting scene, police came upon 30 shell casings, strewn across 2 city blocks, with Jones being found clinging on to life, himself having been shot 9 times. Sadly, he passed away at a nearby hospital an hour later. Witnesses described seeing a teenager, in the age range of 15 to 17 years old, shooting at Deshaun before running away on foot. Along with Deshaun, someone else was also shot according to eyewitnesses. This person fled before police arrived, and hospital records never surfaced, with the person likely treating themselves instead of checking in. The sheer amount of casings suggested that this was some type of shootout, with police confirming that at least 2 different caliber handguns had been used. In short succession, likely given his gang affiliation, a vital piece of evidence, and intelligence from other sources, police began looking into a local rapper named Keith Hayer, also known as Bang Da Hitta. Part of the insane cutthroat gangsters, Hayer was no stranger to gang conflict, having himself been a victim of multiple assassination attempts, the most recent one leaving him shot in the leg back in August. CPD felt as though he was involved, and Bang Da Hitta was apprehended the following year in April 2018. By this stage, CPD had already connected him to a shooting 2 weeks prior to Deshaun's murder, and I'll get onto that in a moment. It is worth pointing out that Hayer was in his late 20s at the time of Deshaun's shooting, not aligning with the teenage suspect description. However, his phone was found by police at the scene, in what appeared to have been a similar playthrough of events to the case of C-Day from 600. A minivan would be discovered, linking Keith Hayer to a double shooting. The rapper had been observed running from the van, the same one having been used to transport 2 men to Masonic Medical Center. These 2 men were believed to have been involved in a shootout in the area of Clark and Leland, having suffered a shoulder and back wound. Eyewitnesses reported to police that 2 groups were letting off shots at each other, ducking behind parked cars for cover. Witnesses reported having heard 12 shots being fired, with both men having been hit. Upon being questioned in hospital, the 2 victims relayed the same story. They had been sitting in a parked minivan, when a gunman approached and began firing. Not believing the story, police soon located the van on the 1000 block of West Wellington, a block away from the hospital. At this time, Keith Hayer was spotted in the van, chased and arrested on a warrant. Inside the van and nearby, police discovered shell casings, but no firearms were found. As mentioned earlier, Bang Da Hitta was no stranger to CPD, and he is suspected in quite a few shootings and murders. No doubt police had him marked, and desperately wanted to lock him up, knowing that he was deeply entrenched in the streets, with rumored shootings connected to him dating back to 2010. Keith Hayer would be arrested in connection to a shooting that nearly killed someone. The victim was named Reno Foreman. I couldn't find much on this case, or any detailed information about the victim. However, Hayer spent the next 2 years locked up for the crime, ultimately being found not guilty and beating the case in late 2012. Hayer protested his innocence, claiming that the police had set him up. Judging by the shootings and murders that never stuck to him, there might be some truth to this being the case. At the time of this next incident, PBG, or the insane cutthroat gangsters, were beefing with Lock City, or loyalty over cash. The rumored leader of this gang was 19-year-old Glenford Munchie Johnson, a man who himself ended up being gunned down back in 2014, when a van rolled up, a passenger with dreads jumped out, and began shooting. By the sounds of things, Munchie was no saint, with his death likely resulting in Bang Da Hitta's car being firebombed just days following his killing. Not being one to tolerate something so extreme, Bang Da Hitta took to Facebook to respond to the car bombing, and I have to say, his posts are just classic examples of the brutality of Chicago rappers dissing their opposition. Unsurprisingly, both crimes went unsolved, with Bang Da Hitta dropping music videos over the coming years. His most popular songs were 2014's Die L's, in which he dissed the L's, standing for Lock City, Mr. Rogers Back, in which he shouted out deceased friends like Anton Pooh Bear Sanders, Young Pappy, and PBG Mosey. In addition to these tracks, he would collab with other PBG rappers like PBG Mosey, Tay Sav, PBG Spaz, Young Pappy and PBG Chemo. For the most part, the rapper never really managed to stay consistent with his rap career given his frequent brushes with CPD. In my opinion, he was underrated, with his songs being high energy, classic drill anthems. 32-year-old Remus Campbell, aka Ramo from Lock City, was standing outside on the sidewalk, gathered as part of a large group. A Ford SUV would cruise down the street, with someone inside firing into the crowd. Campbell was shot in his neck, passing away a short time later. Multiple other people would also be hit in this shooting incident, with both surviving their gunshot wounds. The murder went unsolved, but roughly 2 years to the date following the murder, whilst sitting inside Cook County Jail awaiting sentencing for Deshaun Jones's murder, Bang Da Hitta was arrested for the crime. Eyewitnesses had picked him out as the offender. However, later on the same day that he was arrested for the murder, the state's attorney's office rejected the charges against him, deciding not to prosecute. Having narrowly avoided yet another murder case, Keith Heyer would spend years behind bars, still facing the murder case of Deshaun Jones. In what appears to have been divine intervention, Keith Heyer would miraculously beat the case, being paroled in 2022. As of 2024, Keith Heyer has yet to post any new music videos, and I'm guessing that this is because he's on parole, or he's just moved on from rapping. Perhaps his many near misses with the justice system have finally enabled him to come to the realization that the street life isn't worth it. Heyer is now a religious man, and I hope that with a higher power in his life, paired with the many life lessons that he's now learned, he can keep out of the system and progress forward in his life. Rest in peace to everyone mentioned in this video. Thanks for watching.